What's going on, y'all? Machiavelli Mills TV. Y'all hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. So, a certain amount of y'all are new to my channel. Some of y'all might have discovered me with my content about LeBron James, NBA basketball, all different type of stuff, right? And so, some of y'all may not be aware that I have a son who's autistic, which is why I wear this puzzle piece necklace around my neck. My son is 3. And some of y'all already know, but oftentimes I've spoken about my son on my channel. I made videos about me and his mother first discovering his autism diagnosis, or us discovering that there may be some developmental delays that he was experiencing, that he could possibly have a developmental disability in certain areas, and us coming to terms with that, and then going to his pediatrician and telling his pediatrician about certain milestones he had not reached yet, all of those things, right? And then I spoke about how parenting a child with the autism diagnosis made me a better parent in a lot of different ways, because I was already a father to a daughter. My daughter's 13 now, my son is 3, right? And I made these videos. I decided to be forthcoming about my son's autism diagnosis, mainly because when I surveyed the landscape, when I started looking for content involving individuals who had a child that had autism, I would see a lot of, especially when it came to Black people, I would see a lot of mothers discussing it. I would see mothers being open and honest about the signs that they saw in their child, about how they responded, putting their children in therapy. I had my son in early intervention. Me and his mother had put him in early intervention therapy as soon as he turned 2 years old. And so I would see people, like the women, talking about these things, but I would hardly ever see any Black men discussing it. And so I was like, man, you know what? I know I'm not the only father who has a child with an autism diagnosis. And so I wanted to spread awareness, but at the same time, give a community to a lot of fathers who parent a child with autism. And then especially Black fathers, give them a community as well, because now I'm speaking to Black people, Black fathers in particular, because y'all know, man, the Black community has had a funny relationship with discussing developmental disabilities, etc. You see, a lot of people in our community have had developmental disabilities and all of those things, but our our grandfathers and grandmothers and great-grandfathers and great-grandmothers, their generation did not want to speak about these things. They didn't want it to be a real thing. They tried to act like it wasn't real. They tried to act like this is something that, hey, it's not something we can whoop them out of it. We can discipline them out of this, that, and the third. You even had people from my grandparents' generation who, when they had a child with a developmental disability, they would keep the child hidden from the world. Some of them would send the child somewhere down south so that they wouldn't have to have the child be noticed by other people, etc., due to them being ashamed of people looking at their child funny, or looking at them a certain way, or, judging their child, etc. And so now fast forward, with more information about different developmental disabilities, with more information and the stigma being taken, the stigma with developmental disabilities being less of a stigma today, people are more comfortable talking about it. But again, still, a lot of the fathers aren't comfortable talking about it for real. And so I kind of wanted to change that. I did. I wanted to provide a sense of community for fathers who parent children with autism. I wanted Black fathers to also see another Black father being vulnerable about these things. This is why you see me, when I made my prior videos about my son, I got emotional. It wasn't a stage, it wasn't an act. It really was my true feelings, and how I was just remembering how I was processing the information when I was learning certain things about my son and certain milestones he was not reaching, and how emotional I was then, and how me and his mother both were emotional, and how we responded. We responded. I'm sorry. We responded vigorously. We put our son in therapy immediately, and we have seen a lot of improvements in him. Is he speaking? No, he's only say mama, dad, little small words here and there, but no real sentences or anything like that. But the eye contact has improved. His ability to sit and take directions, him responding to his name has improved a lot. Him being able to communicate with us in certain ways a lot better. It has improved a lot. Nonverbal communication, things like that, right? Him being able to increasing certain motor skills, and him not, first he did not want to go up and down stairs. Now he's doing it, and now, all these different things, right? We've seen these improvements in him, and it brings me so much joy and happiness to see my son improving so much, and improving daily. It's a slow uphill journey, and a slow, it's not a fast journey at all, but it's a journey I'm willing to ride for the rest of my life with my son, because that's my son, and I'm always gonna love my child, but I wanted parents, fathers, to know that there are other fathers who are experiencing the same thing you're experiencing, who have the same feelings, the same thoughts, and you're not alone in that. It's always been a sense of, I see a lot of women have communities to turn to, and that's excellent, right? It's excellent. But I also want fathers to see other fathers discussing it, so that they won't feel out of place, or they won't feel a certain way, or feel like, hey, I can't talk to any man about how I'm feeling about this, that, and the third, But the love that you get from your child is so rewarding. It's so beautiful. It drives me every single day. It drives me to be the best parent I could be. It drives me to put my best foot forward in all avenues dealing with him, and to recognize when I'm slacking, when I should be improving, when I could be doing things better, when I could be, more on task with certain things. It's made me more patient. And it's when I'm watching my son, and when I'm watching him be happy and smiling and full of joy, it put multiple tears in my eyes, But at first, it was something that was hard for me to process. I'm still learning about autism every day. It was hard for me to process. It was hard for me to kind of really accept, but I knew I was not. Because it was hard for me to process, I wasn't going to stop that from getting my son help. It wasn't going to stop me from doing whatever I had to do to make sure my son is getting the right care, the right services that he really needs, and me and his mother both. So that's the reason why I was so forthcoming about my son's story and his journey, and all the different things that I experienced as a parent, as a father, how, I reacted to certain news, etc. Because Black fathers need that community, especially with the stigma that our community had around people with developmental delays. And I feel like we still have a lot of work to do. A lot of people in our community have to educate their children about children with developmental delays or special needs children. Because I do worry about how people will treat my son when I'm not around, how people will treat my son as he's growing up, etc. Right? But it's everybody's responsibility to educate people about it, including myself, considering that I have a son with an autism diagnosis, and me informing his sister about certain things, and keeping her up to date and up to speed on certain things, and she being able to take in as much as she can, and be the loving and amazing big sister that she is. So yeah, I made those videos to bridge a gap, especially within the Black community, because a lot of times we don't want to talk about these things. And, I had a lot of the same feelings a lot of parents have. Oh man, people gonna be looking at my child when he's stimming, when he's making noises because he's trying to regulate himself. When he is, when he's crying, when he's frustrated, when he's overstimulated and he's crying because there's too much going on around him, people gonna be looking at my son. And then I didn't care because that's my son. I'm gonna stand with him every day of the week. I'm standing with him in the middle of a snowstorm. I don't care what it is. I'm standing with my son, and I'm gonna love on my son and give him the help that he needs and give him the supportive environment that he needs, including educating my family members all about autism and how to handle and deal with him, So I enjoyed talking with y'all. Our journey will continue with my boy.